Welcome back, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, our next video is going to instruct you about the safe use of the belt sanders in the room. Anything that you notice about me that might not be appropriate for the power tools room? Yes, you got it. Long sleeves and improper eyewear. Let me change those things up real quickly and I'll be right back. Okay, here we are. We've got our car cut out, but it's pretty rough. It needs to be sanded. So one option would simply be to use hand sandpaper and go all around this thing with different grits until you're satisfied it being smooth. Another way to speed up that process, though, is to use one of our two belt sanders, which essentially is a powerful motor attached to a sanding belt right here. And the sanding belt moves downward like this through a metal plate. So you could rest your object on that plate, a little deck, and that would help you keep the sanding belt perpendicular to your project. So that's one way to control it. You can also hold this in the air if you're careful with it. Just be aware that that puts your hands at, closer to this sanding surface. So you want to keep your hands apart from that, just like the saw blade. And I'll show you on the other side, there is a power switch. I'll go ahead and sand this down a little bit. One other thing I wanted you to know about is the vacuum system. Most of the tools here are hooked up to a vacuum through these pipes, and the vacuum sock, if you will, this is a massive piece of equipment, is over here, and you'll want to turn that on. The switch is way down here near the floor. Turn this thing on. I won't do it now because it's extremely loud to videotape over. Turn that the vacuum on before you start sanding, and at the end of the day we'll turn it off. Okay, so I'm going to reposition the camera to get a better angle on this project as I sand it, and here we go. Okay, just to recap and summarize what we've learned on the scroll saw, drill press, and finally the belt sander. The main rules apply to each. You need to have safety protection for your eyes, either in the form of glasses or goggles, your choice. You need to have your sleeves rolled up or pulled back. Long hair needs to be tied back or tucked in securely out of the way. Any loose jewelry, this watch is fine, but if you have loose jewelry that you could get caught or tangled up in, that needs to be tucked in out of the way or removed for the use of these machines. Again, some of the big features here is keeping your hands away from the moving belt, which is moving downwards, and eventually you'll be pretty proficient or skilled at doing this, taking an object that's rough cut. You can see it like that. It's pretty rough around the edges and blocky, and polishing it off with no time at all into something that's really smooth to the touch. And one of the last things to remember is before you use this thing, make sure that you have this giant sock vacuum turned on. If you're the first one in the room, that would be your job to take care of that. We'll leave it running for the whole class period and turn it off at the end. Also, something else to turn off is the machine itself. More often than not, one of the biggest gripes that I have and safety violations with this machine, people can't hear it running because of the vacuum, and we'll just leave this thing turned on, walk out of the room all happy about their project, forgetting that this thing is running full time. So please remember to turn that off for the safety of others and the longevity of this machine. Okay, should be fine with that information, and I hope that you have a safe and productive time here in the lab.